Yes guys, I'm just going to do a quick one on using my needle in different directions to change the width of the stroke path. I can travel in any direction with that needle, okay? If I travel completely forward, I'm showing all that needle width is penetrating the skin. If I travel diagonal, it's the exact same, but it's a thinner path. If I travel sideways, it's literally the width of two needles. By showing a full face of the needles, I can actually travel in every direction. I can travel forwards to show the full width of the needles. I can travel horizontally to create a thin line, and then I can travel in diagonals to find somewhere in between the two. This gives me full manoeuvrability when I'm shading. It just allows me to get into tight spots and then blend off seamlessly. So as I'm bringing out that shape from the eyebrow, I'm curving round at an angle where I'm creating a really thin path, and then as it generates down and it thickens, I start to show a straighter path for the needles to travel. And what this is doing is thickening this path along here. When you start to develop this, it allows you to do a lot more with your mags. You're not needing to put lining needles on to create these shapes and smaller mags. You can use a bigger mag and still get into those sections. So as you're starting to blend out your values, I'm initially going around mapping everything I'm doing. So here I'm showing a full face, and you can see just gliding on and off the skin. It's important to point out as well, I don't try and finish any little bit I'm on in one go. There's like a process where I develop it out and start to see that shape develop. This stops me overdoing it, putting too much shading in an area where it's not needed. When I was saying horizontal before, if I just show you on this eye, just above there to create that eyelid, I can wiggle my needle back and forth. But I'm travelling in a horizontal path, so I'm showing the thinnest point of contact with the needles. When I say showing a full face of needles onto the skin, what I mean by that is all the needles contacting the skin at the same time. As soon as you start changing the angle, if I angle my machine in any direction to the side, what that's going to do is create an angle where the needles on that side will contact first. So when you're using these angles, that's where you're able to get into edges and stuff. So when I'm using a full face, I just mean all my needles will contact, but the direction of travel will change the width of the stroke. So what this is basically saying, you don't always have to travel forward. You can travel in diagonal, you can travel in curved shapes when you're shading. Sometimes I'll be contouring round a shape. But those that develop shading and become more advanced at doing it, they're able to understand how this process works. You can see everything on the face is quite bare. I'm just travelling around and moving into different sections. So this is going to be quite a shallow diagonal along here. I'm moving into different sections, and again it's that mapping stage. I don't need each bit I do to look great straight away because I'm developing it out. I'm not trying to finish that bit of shading in one hit. If you do that, there's a good chance you might overdo the shading. or undershade, and then you start developing it too much in a lighter wash, and then later on you have to come back to it and you're causing excess skin damage. So by moving around the skin, you're avoiding this happening. This is a good bit that's illustrating these different angles as well. Actually, I'm going in sort of where that right side of the needles is contacting first, and also the directions are changing to generate this shape. There's no harsh pressing on the skin either. I'm gliding lightly, I'm not ramming that needle against the skin aggressively. There's no need to do that to develop your shading. As long as the skin's stretched and there's plenty of ink in the needle tube, you'll find the ink's going to glide in nice and easy. So you can see as I'm gliding down here, I'm literally showing the full face along there using a 15 curved mag. As well, I'm not cleaning it. I say this a lot on these demonstrations where I'm not feeling the need to clean the skin every 2 minutes. I can work a tattoo for a couple of hours without needing to use my tattoo soap, because I'm able to just pat the areas I'm doing. I'm working the skin effectively, so I'm not compromising that stencil. By moving round as well, I'm not overthinking it. I'm not staring at the reference picture, panicking or anything like that, wondering which bit to do. I'm just generating bits of shades and building up and manoeuvring round. If you're a more confident artist and you are doing a tattoo that's comfortable and the shades aren't too important to be the exact same as the reference images, so if it's not a face, you can whack the shades in one go and build them up to the point where they need to be. But on a face, I will always move around and build it up slowly until I'm happy, and I'll keep working down my saturated pots to keep blending off and smoothing out the tattoo. I can even use a forward path to handrail this edge along there as well. If you are tattooing and you're not using your mag to its full potential by travelling in different directions and able to manoeuvre about, you can develop this. It's going to level up your tattoo skills massively, so give it a go.